Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Isis, Escape from Transylvania. The goddess next door and John Haynes must escape a horde of vampires on the hunt in this horror-filled Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Escape from Transylvania in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. I had a chance to take a look at Dolemite is My Name on Netflix, and after watching Dolemite is My Name on Netflix, I can say it's one of the best films of 2019. Now, Dolemite is My Name is a biopic about the late Rudy Ray Moore, who starred in the 1975 classic blaxploitation film Dolemite. But while many pan the movie for how bad it is, it's great to hear about the story of Rudy Ray Moore because that story is a positive one about a black man who went out here and became an entrepreneur even in the face of so much adversity and so much negativity. And Eddie Murphy does an amazing job portraying Rudy Ray Moore in this film, showing us the humanity behind the man who created the character of Dolemite the pimp. And that story of that man is a fascinating one because this was a man who, in the face of all of the adversity in his life, found a way to make something out of himself and create something that has had a lasting legacy over the last 50 years. Now, your Rudy Ray Moore, in contrast to the flashy Dolemite character, was an overweight, middle-aged man who was struggling as an assistant manager in a record shop looking to get his big break. And when he saw that he could not get any sort of break from white Hollywood, he started to take his own things in his own hands. And that was something I admired about Rudy Ray Moore ever since I watched the original Dolemite in the 1990s when I heard about it from House Party, and I decided to pick up a VHS copy of Dolemite. And then one of my family members who was going to college at the time told me about the historical contribution of Rudy Ray Moore to black history, because Rudy Ray Moore was the man who really brought the comedy record to another level with his Dolemite character, and he also made a historical contribution by him being this black entrepreneur. And what I liked about this film was it wasn't a promotion of pimps and pimp culture. No, it was a promotion of Rudy Ray Moore as an entrepreneur and his efforts to build his own business. And that's one of the things I like seeing about Dolemite is My Name, is seeing Rudy Ray Moore's drive and determination to build that business for himself and how he saw value in himself even though others did not value him. It was his heart and his determination that really was the thing that really drove him, because even though he was struggling, he still persevered in the face of adversity. I mean, even though his first self-published record didn't do well, he still went out here, found another way to do things, and he created the comedy records that became a brand. And then after he promoted and sold the comedy records, he then saw a movie and decided to go out here and make his own movie. And when I look at your Rudy Ray Moore and I look at his drive and his passion, this is the thing that makes him a great man, is that he had that drive and that passion. And it didn't matter whatever he did, he always used that drive and his passion, and that passion showed the heart that came at many of the things he did, whether it was his comedy records or the Dolemite movies. He was always looking to bring that heart to everything. Now, he wasn't the greatest craftsman with things, but when I look at your Rudy Ray Moore and what he did, it's that drive to go to the next level that is one of the things that I see as a positive role model, because he didn't just give up in the face of people telling him he couldn't do things. He always found a way to do things, and that's something that you could take from this movie, is that Rudy Ray Moore did not allow others to define him. he defined himself and he did things on his own terms. And that's what I liked about seeing this movie, and I think it's a great movie for everybody to see, is that this man never let other people tell him who he was. He defined himself, and he defined the way he did things. He did everything on his terms, and he did things his own way, and he did not let others discourage him. He did not let others discredit him. And even in the face of the greatest adversity, he always found a way to overcome. And that was one of the things I loved about this movie, is seeing him overcome in the face of adversity and finally get to that point of success that he got with the Dolemite movie. Now, I'm not a big fan of many of the themes in Dolemite, like the pimp culture. However, I do respect Rudy Ray Moore's drive and his hustle, and I always liked that about him. Now, that's why I saw him as a positive role model for the way he went about his business, because he did not let anything deter him. He did not let anything discourage him, and he always found a way to persevere. And that positive energy that Rudy Ray Moore had, that was the thing that radiated to others who were around him. And in some ways, he reminds me of the filmmaker Ed Wood when he was making Dolemite, because Ed Wood, he also had that same heart and drive, but he didn't know how to make films. He didn't know anything about screenwriting or anything. But he always wanted to make something, and again, that's why it was lasting forever, because of the heart. Same thing with Rudy Ray Moore with Dolemite. It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but it was great because your Rudy Ray Moore put his heart on that screen, and he put his passion on that screen. And it was very fascinating to see this film as it was, showing us behind the scenes of the production. And what I found to be really fascinating was, we thought that Dolemite was this larger-than-life personality. However, Rudy Ray Moore was nothing like Dolemite at all. And I always looked at Rudy Ray Moore as this film. I gained more respect for Rudy Ray Moore, the person, because he showed me that you can go out here and make something great if you believe in yourself. And that was one of the things I loved about this movie, was I saw the man, Rudy Ray Moore, and Eddie Murphy did an amazing job bringing us the man, Rudy Ray Moore, and showing us the humanity of the man, Rudy Ray Moore, and showing us how this man, what made him great was, again, his internal character traits, his drive, his passion, his heart, and these are the things that made this man great, and how he could go out of his way to elevate people like Lady Reed and give her a sense of self-esteem. He could go out here and give these brothers out here who were helping him on the film opportunities to elevate themselves. And he put himself on the line because he believed in what he was doing. Even though he wasn't making money in the beginning, he still found a way to eventually get to that money. And it wasn't about the money, it really was about him wanting that success. And that was one of the things I could directly relate to, because as the publisher of the SJS Direct imprint, I have that same drive. I want to have that success, and I always wanted to persevere like that, and I still do persevere like that. So I could really relate to Rudy Ray Moore's story, and I could relate to his experiences, because I've had many of those experiences myself, where people tell you that this isn't going to sell, this isn't good enough, this isn't what people want, but then you go out here and you put that work in yourself, and you put that work in because you really believe in what you're doing. And Rudy Ray Moore really believed in what he was doing, and that's why he had success, is because he believed in it, and that made others believe in it. And again, he never let anyone define him, and that was one of the things that I have always lived for ever since I was 8 years old. I always lived for, and don't let others tell you who you are. And that was something I could relate to as related to his story, was not letting people tell you who you are or what you can do, and to go out here and do what you believe that you want to do. And I loved seeing that in this movie, and that's one of the reasons why I can recommend this movie, is because I know what that story is, and I know that when I watched this movie, I saw a lot of my own experiences in this story. I saw a lot of great things in this movie. And this is one of those movies that black people need to really go out and go see and support, because even if you disagree with the Dolemite character, you can see how great Rudy Ray Moore is as a person. And I have great respect for Rudy Ray Moore as a businessman, the godfather of rap and hip hop, and one of the greatest comedians in the black community, and someone who actually preserved a part of black community, because he took the old slave comedy and he brought it back for people to continue to learn from, and he preserved it. And that was something that's very, very significant, because that's a part of our history that probably would have been lost in the gutters of Los Angeles, but he managed to bring it back with the Dolemite character, and him bringing that back was something culturally significant because it brought us a part of our history. And when him bringing that part of our history to us, it's something that is very culturally significant. But again, what I say truly as significant is this man's drive for success and his determination to achieve in the face of anything. And this man coming from poverty and building himself up, that's a story that is very inspiring to me, and I think it's a story you should definitely see. Dolemite Is My Name is on Netflix right now, and I urge you to go see this movie. It's one of the best movies of 2019, and it's one that you will really get a whole lot of inspiration from. Eddie Murphy and the director does a great job on this film, and it's something that I definitely don't want anyone to miss. If you want to pick up some of my SJS Direct publications, you can pick them up in paperback and Kindle formats on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle formats. You can also find my books on Smashwords and the iBookstore. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.